Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here for the season closer of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, episode 10. And this one kind of ties up everything that they went through in episode 5. So they're tying everything up, and then next season, whole new set of struggles. We open with Battelle, who has been uh, reported back to active duty as a new judicial, but she pops over to the Enterprise for a 3-day furlough, much to Pike's happiness. And they have a dinner party, and as per usual, one crew member has to be pranked, and that is Scotty, who shows up in full Scottish Starfleet regalia, much like Uhura showed up in her dress uniform back in season 1. And everybody gets a good laugh. Now, Corby, he is on another planet, and the Calorons, I think that's how it's pronounced, and they have connection to that temple from back in chapter 5. And he has finally spent enough time there and gotten everybody's approval to meet the High Priest. While this is happening, the sickbay has been having a lot of problems with the computers. And Scotty, looking it over, is finding remnants of a human pattern. The pattern's not there anymore, but there are remnants of it. And when they finally configure it, it's Gamble. Again, he died back in chapter 5. He was possessed by one of the Vestas? We'll go with Vestas. And turns out that pattern had been buffered, or it had been in the buffer, and somehow teleported itself somewhere. Where? Well, I'm glad you asked. Turns out the High Priest is Gamble. Anyway, once they realize this, they try to contact Corby. Not responding. So Starfleet's going to send them, and they're going to order another ship. Can you guess which one? To rendezvous with them there. Now, when they get there, an away party is sent that includes Chapel, La'an, Una, Uhura, and volunteering is M'Benga, since he has that connection with the original with the human Gamble. And they get there, and do a little finagling because there's guards in front of where Corby transported to. So they do a little subterfuge of pretending to be drunk while Anne sneaks up behind them and gives them a bit of something she's learned from her dance lessons with Spock, aka Vulcan nerve pinch. And they teleport where they run into Corby, and he explains they shouldn't have come. They consider Gamble a god, and they will do anything he says without question. And he has a lot of them taking out their eyes, as he has no eyes either, preparing them to be occupied by the Vestas, which he plans to free. Let's see. So at this point, Uhura realizes that this one huge stone with writings on it is in Swahili. And M'Benga recognizes the story it tells as being his own past. What does that mean? Well, he gets up to get a closer look. He gets scanned. It opens, And Gamble, who was in disguise, rushes forward and pushes them both through, and it immediately closes. They end up back in the temple. And the Vesta and Gamble says, he's going to free them all. And Bang is then going to be used to open the gateway to send them back through. Well, Banga says, only if I'm alive, and pulls out a knife for the ultimate sacrifice. And then he and Gamble struggle, at which point Banga gets close to a doorway. It scans him, opens up, and he throws Gamble through, and it shuts. So, temporary reprieve. Before that happened, Gamble had sent energy at the crystal statue, causing it to crack, which also had an effect on Battelle back on the Enterprise. Let's see where we are now. Now, and it's at this point that they began discussing things. The party beams back. There's nothing more they can do there. And there's some speculation about Battelle and Legend. And what if the Legends are actually memories? That the Vesta is the original evil of all species. That's why they all have myths about evil. It's the Vesta. And in a nod to Arthur C. Clarke, and specifically Childhood's End, about genetic memory or species memory. You can remember something that goes all the way through generations. It's always in the back there. Which kind of ties in because it was about ultimate evil. Anyways, which turned out to not be evil, but actually kind of was. You'd have to read the book. It's too complicated to go into here. Anyway, and that everything has been foretold. Destiny, Battelle is the new beholder. They find that from examination, she and the statue are the same. They're not similar. They are the exact same. They are one and the same. They are one entity in two places. Whew. Anyways, they also figure out that, along with Kirk's brother, that the Vesta was able to travel to this distant planet when the Enterprise was on a ley line in the galaxy. And Spock's a little skeptical about ley lines, but it's about the only thing that can answer, because they look at where the Enterprise was, where the ley line led, and it's a straight shot. Okay, now Battelle and Pike beam down. They can't open the portal. It can only be opened by M'Benga and Gamble together. They could maybe force it open, but it would take a tremendous amount of power. How much? Well, about the power of a sun. Now, a starship can accumulate about half that and center it in on its phasers. So they'd need two ships. Well, they just happen to have that other ship. The Farragut? It's coming. And the captain on that ship does owe Pike her life. So she's willing to let some things not be quite so by the book. Now remember, Kirk's second in command, so they call him over to the Enterprise and tell him what they need, which is basically they have to fire manually at the same spot in tandem. Two phasers, one from the Enterprise, one from the Farragut. Now this is precision, because even though ships don't feel like they're moving, they're always kind of moving because of radiation, warps, cosmic winds, so you're going to have to be very precise. Now, Ortega's like, I'm not a shooter. I can pilot, but I cannot fire. I don't have the aim for that. Spock does. Kirk does. They're going to have to mind meld so that they are one and fire in tandem. Kirk's a little reticent, but he agrees after Spock agrees not to judge on any of the memories he might pull up on some of Kirk's furloughs. So they meld, and as one, they rotate the ships, and fire the phasers, and it opens the portal. Patel and Pike go through. There they run into M'Benga, who tells them Gamble's about to break free, which he does, and in the ensuing mayhem of the door splintering, M'Benga's knocked cold. And Gamble comes through. He's got all the creatures behind him. They're ready to get going. But he's got to face off with Battelle. And to prove that she can't hack it, he starts injuring Pike. And then Battelle squares herself, and her hands start to glow. And suddenly we're in the future. Battelle and Pike have been married a couple of years. And then we bounce forward again. They have a daughter, and Pike is about to set off on the mission where he has his accident. Battelle says, it doesn't matter. I will take care of you. I don't care, as long as we're together. Then we cut to him coming back. It didn't happen. Why not? Well, Battelle says, she kinda, to defeat the Vesta, she kind of manipulated. She opened up the cosmic space and kind of manipulated space and time. And this may have affected certain outcomes. But let's not dwell on that. We're together. Then we skip forward again. And it is at their daughter's engagement to another Starfleet Academy person. Then we skip forward again till the end of their time. They're both very old, and Battelle is basically on her deathbed with Pike tending to her. And she tells him, think of these years as a gift. And there's a knock at the door. Go answer the door. I don't want to leave you. Go answer the door. And he opens the door. There's Gamble, and he's back where he was. And and at this point, Gamble has destroyed the statue completely. All the Vestas are free. And they're now getting ready to head out, and Battelle says that's not going to happen. I am Battelle, human, but I am also the beholder. And she sucks them all together, including Gamble and herself, and forms a new crystal statue. She has sacrificed herself, as is her destiny. But she has given Pike and herself a lifetime of memories together that they could have had if not fate had intervened. I'm sorry. So sad. Well, back on the ship, Corby tells, he gives to Chapel a data disk. He found charts to all these new star systems that nobody's ever been to. Vast amounts of, new places to go and explore, and of course he's going to be going. He's an archaeologist. And she's like, our relationship really isn't easy, is it? It's like, no relationship is. But to be fair, this is the kind of relationship Chapel the only kind she can really have, as we've learned. Anything that takes You know, the kind Battelle and Pike wanted, she's not going to be able to have that. That's why she and Spock can't click. They can't be together all the time. She needs time away. And then just short periods where they're together. You know, that's how some people are. Kirk beats Spock at that multi-dimensional chess that's always part of Star Trek, and Spock's perplexed. They mind melded. He should know exactly how Kirk thinks, but Kirk beat him. How is that possible? Kirk says, well, you know, maybe we'll serve together someday. Maybe not. But we are now friends, and we will continue the game. And then Leanne comes up because it's time for another dance lesson. Unfortunately, Kirk knows all that because mind meld, much to her chagrin. And then his brother comes over, and the two brothers share a drink. Una shares a drink with Pike as he's in mourning. Although Battelle still lives, in a sense, and she's not ever truly gone. She's given him that wonderful gift of all those memories. And after one of his soliloquies on his log, where we see the different pairings of the crew and how they get along with each other, he then goes to the bridge and their new orders. They have a lot of new galaxies to go explore where no one has gone before, which is the Enterprise motto. So Ortega is allowed to go where, pick a planet and a system and pick the speed. Pretty good ending. A little heartbreaking, but very nice tie-up of all the loose ends. And yeah, everything is now tied up. A few things, you know, that can continue throughout the next two seasons until Pike has his accident. But now they can head out to new adventures with new species, or maybe species we've encountered from old Trek that they discover for the first time. Who knows? But it was a pretty good season. I know a lot of people have been down on it, but I felt it was a pretty good season. I enjoyed it. Best episode so far is still the previous one. Those ones always. I always love those ones where you got to work together and your enemies. You know, that's always one of my favorite plots. A lot of room for growth and characters to evolve and stuff. You know, which is at the heart of good fiction. I've always felt. Yeah, but forget the naysayers if they don't like it. I think it's good Trek, and if they complain about continuity, it's a 60-year span of shows. You're not going to get everything correct. Think of it in the ways of Doctor Who. Doctor Who's never cared about continuity. And it's also one of its charms, frustrating though it can be. Well, that's all for this season. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time for another show.